Well, our viewers have sent in a lot of questions for our next guest. Tracey Ruiz is a sleep doula, and she joins us on the noon show. And I think, Tracey, we start with the obvious question. What is a sleep doula?
A sleep doula provides physical, emotional, and educational support for very exhausted parents. Okay. And we provide that support by phone, by texting, or sometimes it even means me laying on their floor in the middle of the night.
You?
Me.
Okay, fair enough. Helping parents get their children to sleep and have a restful sleep.
Right.
And hopefully the parents can get the same too. A number of you have sent us in questions, as I mentioned. Let's go to the first one. It is from Jessica. She asks, how do I keep my 18-month-old from waking up at 5:30 a.m.? Even if we keep her up later, she's up early.
So the first thing is to have a great bedtime routine, and I wouldn't keep her up later. I would get her in bed at a reasonable time, sometime between 7 and I'd say 8 o'clock. But the other thing that it's a visual thing that children, especially toddlers, this is called a good night light, and there's a variety of different options out there. But what this actually does is you plug it in and set a timer for it, and then what ends up happening is it's blue at one portion of the night, so it shows the moon, and then when it's 7 a.m. it actually turns into the sun, so you can tell them that they can come out of their room at 7 a.m. So if you can give them a visual tool, that's a really, really great way of doing that.
So another question. This is from Leah. Leah asks, or says, my 2 toddlers go to sleep wonderfully but get up 3 to 4 times a night and crawl into bed with us. We're always hauling them back to their own beds. And we also had a question, let's go to one more question. We also had a question from Amy, who has a 10-month-old and is experiencing some success allowing her baby to cry it out. What do you think about letting babies cry it out? Let's go to that question first. What do you think about babies crying it out?
I don't think you can control how a child responds. I think you can control only on how you support them. You know, some people will say, well, give them all these tools and they're going to cry. But some babies you can sit on a ball and bounce up and down like a crazy person, and they're still going to cry because they're exhausted or tired. So I think finding a technique that fits you as a family is important, and that you can't control if they're going to cry or they're not going to cry, but you can control that you're there supporting them and encouraging them.
But how often do you keep running into the room when they're crying? Do you let them cry for 2 minutes and then maybe 3 minutes, and then maybe 5 minutes?
Actually, that's the Ferber method, and I'm not a big fan of that one.
Okay.
I actually find it easier to either stay in the room with the child and maybe limit where you're staying, or one of the most popular techniques we use, we're actually shushing them and talking to them. And so they're knowing that we are verbally around for them, but they're not being abandoned.
That's great, but when you decide to leave the room and they see that you're not there,
but as long as they know outside the room that you're still there by talking to them and shushing them,
from the other
they're
room.
still going to be upset with them, but at least they know that they're not abandoned. You're close by.
I don't want to forget Leah's question about the toddlers going to sleep but getting up 3 to 4 times a night and crawling into bed and then hauling them back to their own beds.
One of the things you might think about doing is just using a gate. My question would be to her is if she's putting her child down awake and what kind of routine they have at the beginning of the night, because any things that are present at the beginning of the night, they're looking for in the middle of the night. So in a sense, if you lay down with them, that's why they're coming over to your bed in the middle of the night. So you need to make sure that when you leave the room, they are awake and they know that you're going to your bed, and they just stay in their bed.
You brought some other things in addition to the light. Explain what the purpose of them are.
These are just some helpful tools for kids. The first one is about routine, in the sense of one of the favorite routines I have is it's from the Johnson & Johnson website, and what they suggest is actually having a bath, then a massage, and then some quiet times, maybe reading a book. And then one of my other favorite ones that I like doing is finding like a little lovey. This is the Good Night Bear, and what it does actually has a sound machine in it, so you can use the sound machine, but it also has a lovey, and what you can do, you can start very young with them, is actually put this in mom's bra so it has her scent on it, and then keep on getting that attachment with the child for it. And then for your toddler who starts worrying about monsters, in the sense that they don't want to go to sleep because there's a monster out there, I just made some monster spray. And so if they're concerned and they say they're underneath the bed, you can spray underneath the bed. And it's just a way of kind of dealing with their fears and taking them seriously.
We have a question from Michelle, and Michelle asks, or says, I have a 7-month-old who sleeps very well at night, but naps are a different story. It is difficult to get her to sleep. When I succeed, she'll only sleep 45 minutes. Any suggestions, or is that just fine?
Do you know what, 45-minute nap, especially in the morning time, is not unreasonable. In the afternoon, you're looking for a little bit more of a bigger window. But one of the things is are they going down awake? And that will make a key return on that, because if they go down asleep, then they will be up at 45 minutes. But if you put them down awake, you'll probably notice that their naps become longer and longer.
I find when my baby doesn't get a nap during the day, she sleeps all through the night.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we try to give her a nap.
Yes. And naps are important. Even for mom and dad's sanity is important too, right?
Yeah, I agree. Okay, and the question from Jordan as well. The only way to get my newborn son to sleep was to let him sleep in my arms. Now he's 2 months old and still sleeping in my arms. How do I make a smooth transition into his bed?
So one of the key ones is to look up a book. It's called Happiest Baby on the Block. It's Dr. Harvey Karp. And there's things called the 5 S's. And you swaddle them, you shush them, you do some movement. But the key thing is the swaddling is the keystone. And also like a sound machine is wonderful as well. But what I find is if you can swaddle them, and then if you put them down on their side to start off with and then roll them to their back, that will help with that transition.
Okay. You know, just really quick, with my baby, when we sing to her, hush little baby, don't you cry, you know that one?
Yeah.
And then go loo, 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 she cries. She gets very upset.
It's probably because she knows it's bedtime and she still wants to hang out with you.
Do you think that?
Yep.
I thought it was something from a previous life, perhaps.
Oh, no.
Okay. Okay. Well, hopefully my wife is watching. Honey, she just thinks it's time to go to bed. If you'd like to hear more from the sleep doula, Tracey Ruiz will be on the main stage at the Mom, Pop, and Tots Fair tomorrow at 12:30. That's at the Edmonton Expo Center. Tracey Ruiz, thanks very much for joining us, and I hope all parents out there have learned something from this.
Thanks.
I know I have.
Great.
Thanks.